Good morning. On behalf of the Village of North Riverside and the North Riverside Fire Department and Police Department, welcome to our celebration of heroes. Please stand for the presentation of colors.
About face. Forward, march. I would guess that on this most important day in our nation's history, the day of remembering and honoring, that we're loaded with memories of a day 14 years ago and the events that happened and where we were. It calls to mind for me a moment about a week after 9/11, when Father Ray Cleese and I, who were pastors in LaGrange at the time, traveled to New York City and walked the walk from Ground Zero up to St. Patrick's Cathedral. And on each corner in that journey, we were greeted by the heroes of that place and the heroes and responders who were gathered there. My memory of that day was that it was like walking through the receiving line at a wake. And we were greeted by the men and women, first responders in that community, and people from all over the country who greeted us and welcomed us and thanked us for coming. The mark that's always left on me is that in some way or other, all of us were there. All of us were in New York City, and all of us visited there as men and women from all parts of the country, our own local heroes, first responders, traveled in our name to that sacred place. And so with those memories sacred within us, but gathered many years later, continuing to relish the freedoms of our liberty and our way of life in this nation, let's pray. Good and gracious God of all people, we ask your grace and blessing. We ask you to always hold our hearts and our minds and our spirits strong with your eternal gift of hope and promise, in trust, in future. We give you thanks for all the heroes who place their lives each day in so many ways and in all places before us for our safety, our well-being, our protection, to safeguard all that we hold sacred. And so on this day, gathered to celebrate the heroes of then and now, we ask you to bless us and to always hold strong in our own hearts and in the hearts of our children the gift, the promise, and the confidence in a future graced by hope and filled with your care. Amen.
Just a very brief announcement before we start. At the conclusion of the ceremony, there are refreshments being served inside of the Commons for any of you who choose to to stay. Good morning, and thank you all for taking your time out to be with us here today to honor 403 brave people that will never be forgotten. I'm going to spend just a few moments extending my personal gratitude to some people that have contributed to make this event happen over the years. To retired Fire Chief Ken Rullo, who initially granted the approval to take this event from a thought to a reality. Former North Riverside Mayors Richard Scheck and Kenneth Krochmal for their support on this project. Current North Riverside Mayor Hermanick and the current members of the Village Board for their support and their presence. North Riverside Fire Chief Brian Basic and North Riverside Police Chief Elaine Neiman for their encouragement when things sometimes seem bleak. Judy Rizzo, Dwayne Erickson, Russ Perez, Kathy Haley for their contributions each year to all those others who have supported this event year in and year out. Our deepest gratitude to you. One final individual from the very first time that we did this, David Baum has been here to take pictures of this event, and he's done so without one cost to us. David, oh, you're there. I owe you a lot, pal. To the members of the Illinois Police Association Honor Guard here today for the first time officially, your support over the years and your presence here has not been unappreciated. Thank you for being here today in an official capacity. And finally, to the group that I feel is this event, the people that give the credibility and dignity to what this event is about, the Chicago Fire Department Pipes and Drums. This group has brought representation on both coasts to this event. I'm so very grateful to you guys, not only for your year-to-year contribution, but for the friendships that have been developed over the years. I'll never be able to properly thank you, except to say thanks very much, my friends, and be safe. So now I ask our guests to please help me give a round of applause to say thank you to all these people and to those that weren't mentioned for all they've done. On December 18th, 2001, by a joint resolution of Congress, Public Law 107-89 authorized and requested the President to designate September 11th of each year as Patriot Day. With this resolution, President George W. Bush called upon the people of the United States to observe this day with appropriate ceremonies and candlelight vigils and activities, and included remembrance services. Thank you, Mayor. Today, we honor heroes. 9/11. On a sunny morning 14 years ago today, our lives changed in an instant. Soon, things went back to normal, but normal would never be the same. We all promised on that day to never forget. That's why this event was started. This challenge to never forget and pass it along was taken very seriously. Since that Tuesday morning in 2001, young men and women have stepped forward and grabbed the baton to lead public safety into what was then the young century. It is those people that are challenged to keep this memory alive so that those 403 heroes will never be forgotten. On this day each year, we put everything aside and we come together as one to remember and to celebrate. Last spring, I was having a conversation with a New York City firefighter who was assigned to their Elite Special Operations Command. He had just posted a picture on Facebook of a young firefighter that was killed on 9/11. I'd like to just share a very few brief moments of that conversation with you. I asked Justin, did you know Jimmy Coyle? And he replied, he was one of my best friends on the job. I then said, I've talked about him a couple of times at some 9/11 ceremonies that I've done, and he found that interesting and asked why Jimmy Coyle. And I explained, Jimmy had grown up always wanting to be a firefighter. When he got out of the fire academy, he was assigned to his godfather's company, Truck 3 in Manhattan. His godfather told him to keep a notebook of all the technical things that he would be learning on the job. After his death, they found the journal and they found one personal note, and the note read, I am just a boy, a little boy, trying to deal with the heroes that I'm with every day. Jimmy Coyle died a hero with his godfather and his heroes. Justin replied, he was an amazing guy. We started together on day one at the academy, and I miss him. Last night, Justin posted a picture of Jimmy on Facebook, along with a picture of his name at the World Trade Center Memorial at Ground Zero. And Justin said, a Jedi and a firefighter, the two things that Jimmy always wanted to be. The force was strong with you, my friend. I consider myself so lucky to have you as a friend. I miss you, and I'll never forget you. So why do we gather today? We gather to remember Jimmy Coyle and 402 other heroes that raised their hands at one point in their career and promised to serve and protect, and they died doing that. We gather for that firefighter for special operations who misses his best friend and still does today. And we gather for the families that were left behind who, while most have gone on with their lives, still remember and will never forget. And neither will we. As always at this point, we ask for a round of applause to celebrate these heroes who gave so much to the heroes of 9/11 never forgotten. As always, gratitude for the dignitaries that are here today. Most of the members of the village board are here, and we appreciate your presence. Chief Neiman, who's been very supportive, is also here. And a deep gratitude to the number of departments that are in the area that came out to help us celebrate. We appreciate your being here. Our guest speaker has been with the Bedford Park Fire Department for over 20 years. In that time, he has held every position on the department, which included his promotion to chief in 2003. He has represented the Illinois Fire Service while hosting the tactical exercise Top Off 2 at Midway Airport in 2003. During a deployment to Hurricane Katrina in 2005, and Sean, I hope I get this out right, and in Warsaw, Poland at Esculap 2009, which was a multinational military training exercise during which he worked with members of the Illinois National Guard, the Illinois Air National Guard, and the Polish military on chemical and biological weapons response and patient decontamination, triage, and treatment. He has a Bachelor of Science degree from Southern Illinois University and a Master of Science degree from Benedictine University in Lisle. He holds a number of certifications from the Illinois State Fire Marshal's Office and was awarded the professional designation of Chief Fire Officer from the Center for Public Safety Excellence in 2013. He is currently the elected president of the Illinois Fire Chiefs Association and is the past president of the Metropolitan Fire Chiefs Association. I present to you Chief Sean Millay.
Thank you, Ralph. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, brothers and sisters, I'm honored to be here today in North Riverside on Patriot Day as we remember the civilians and our heroes in public service who were taken from us on 9/11. September 11, 2001 is another date that will forever live in infamy. On this date, 14 years ago, the United States came under attack, not from another sovereign country, as was the case in 1941, but from a radical worldwide terrorist group. That day forever changed the way we live. It also changed forever the lives of the family members of the 2,977 people who were killed that day, including 343 firefighters, 72 law enforcement officers, and 53 members of the United States military. I still remember that morning vividly, just as my mother had once told me how she remembers exactly what she was doing when news broke of President Kennedy being assassinated. I remember the intersection I was at when I heard it on the radio, and the disbelief when I walked into the firehouse and turned on the television. But we are not here today to relive that day's events. We are here to remember those 2,977 people who perished on this day 14 years ago. We are here to show our support and remembrance to the fathers, mothers, wives, husbands, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters who lost loved ones on that fateful day. And we are here to show those who would do us harm that the United States of America is still the greatest country on earth. In honor of those lost, we must continue our lives. We must continue to support our beliefs. and we must continue to do good for our families, our friends and neighbors, and for the rest of the world. The best way to honor them is to show the world that we cannot be beaten. Today, it seems we are once again under attack. This one from home, amongst ourselves. On a daily basis, I can turn on CNN and see violence on the evening news. Ferguson, Baltimore, New York, El Paso, Texas. Closer to home, Chicago and Fox Lake. In the months following 9/11, firefighters and police officers received so much thanks and praise. We were everyone's heroes. When did it become okay to shoot at the police? All of America needs to be a place of peace. The violence needs to stop, especially violence against police officers. To our brothers in blue, we're behind you. I understand there are many in our country who feel that we're not here for them, and I get it. And I truly feel for those who've been unjustly treated. But cases of brutality are isolated incidents. We are all public servants. We are honored to serve. And the public needs to know your trust is so important to us, and we will not disregard it. We are here for you. We want to be your heroes. Please stand together with us in peace. Today is a national day of service and remembrance. Let us all remember all who are here to serve, and remember to serve all. We often see signs depicting the Twin Towers with the words, "Do not forget." Today and every day, do not forget the 2,977 people who were killed. Do not forget the 343 firefighters, 72 law enforcement officers, and 53 military members. Do not forget who you are. You are Americans. May God bless you, bless our public servants, and most of all, God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Remembering and honoring the public safety workers of today was at first and still is the most difficult assignment that I give myself to do. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said, out of every 100 men, 10 shouldn't even be there. 80 are just targets. 9 are the real fighters, and we are lucky to have them, for they will make the battle. But the one is a warrior, and he will bring the others back. The warrior is the police officers and firefighters that represent you every day. They have become the warriors. Each time that they report for duty to fight the battle to keep neighborhoods and residences safe, they took an oath and it became a warrior. This past year, our firefighters and police officers have faced some challenges, tough times, and heartbreaking incidents, and yet they haven't given up or quit, thrown in the towel, or walked away. Why? Because they are a family that believes in and supports something pretty special, serving others. The warrior, ladies and gentlemen, walks among you every day in the form of the police officers and firefighters that serve this community and every community in this great nation. Each year, I humbly assume the role of the citizens of each community to say thank you to the police officers and firefighters for their service and for their dedication. I once again accept that role today and ask you to please give a round of applause to say thank you to these warriors for every day that they're with us. It has become the custom here to honor our fallen Illinois brothers as well as the fallen in the country by reading their names and ringing the bell once in their honor. Ringing the bell today will be Chicago Fire Department Battalion Chief Jim Pearl from Special Operations and Chicago Fire Department Battalion Chief Gary Kuykendall from O'Hare Airport Operations. There were 103 police officers killed in the line of duty in 2014. Here in Illinois, Oak Forest Police Officer James P. Morrissey, end of watch, March 17th, 2014. East St. Louis Police K-9 Simi, end of watch, August 27th, 2014. In the nation, there were 87 firefighters killed in the line of duty in 2014. There were none in Illinois. And finally, to remember all those who have died in service to the public on this day, September 11th. The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are continually forced to change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but our goals remain the same as they were in the past, to save lives and protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is steeped in traditions 200 years old. One such tradition is the sound of the bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of the day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizen. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of the call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We utilize these symbols which reflect honor and respect on those who have given so much and who have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty, a special ring of 3 rings twice, followed by 5 rings, indicates the end of our comrades' duties and that they have returned to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow man, their tasks completed, their duties well done. To our brothers, their last alarm, they are going home.